permanent memorial to the British victims of terror overseas is being unveiled at the National Arboretum in Staffordshire today.
The Prince of Wales and Duchess of Cornwall will attend, along with nearly 300 people who have lost relatives, friends and loved ones, as well as senior government ministers.
One of those people who's been instrumental in establishing this memorial is Defence Minister Tobias Ellwood, whose brother Jonathan was tragically killed in the Bali bomb attack of 2002. And Tobias Ellwood joins us now from the National Memorial Arboretum. A good morning to you, Mr. Ellwood, but of course a sad morning as well, because your thoughts must be drawn back to what happened when you heard the news about your brother back in 2002. And that reflects the horror and tragedy that affects many families who have suffered in the same way. What passes through your mind this morning? It's such a significant memorial.
It is going to be, I think, a difficult day, but I think a welcome day in some respects, that we are coming together to remember our loved ones in a beautiful setting here at the Arboretum. As you illustrate, it's a horrible sign of the times that these terrorist attacks are happening more and more. You mentioned Bali, 9/11, Sharm el-Sheikh, Mumbai, the terrorist attacks that we saw on Sousse in Tunisia, and we've also had attacks here in the UK as well. So I'm so pleased that we've been able to establish a memorial here so we can have a quiet place of contemplation, of reflection here at the National Arboretum, a place which has turned into a focal point for the country to remember the fallen, and now for us to be able to gather and remember those who are loved ones who are no longer with us. In some cases, we should remember that in the case of those who were killed in Iraq by the extremists, by Daesh and ISIL, there's no body that was returned. There's no grave for the family to visit. So I do hope that today will provide that place of quiet solace, of a location to be able to reflect on those loved ones that we miss so dearly.
It does sound like an extraordinary memorial as well. It's called Still Water. Can you explain a little bit about its design and where the idea and the concepts come from for us?
Well, I'm really pleased that Alison Wilding, the artist, and David Kershaw was able to put something so beautiful as this. In looking at this, you know, grief comes in waves. It ebbs and flows. It sometimes overbears you and sometimes it's calm. And for this to be called Still Water, I do hope it provides that element of calm for the families that are still coming to terms with the loss of our loved ones. We don't forget that we're surrounded here by memorials to the fallen, to those who have served, and perhaps there's some solace in the fact that they have served their country, even if they didn't return. But those who've been caught up in terrorist attacks weren't just in the wrong place at the wrong time. They were targeted for being a Briton or being a Westerner. And that sudden, abrupt and unexpected removal from our lives is an added burden that the bereaved and the families have to deal with. So I'm so pleased that this has been constructed here at the Arboretum, and I'm so pleased that representatives and families and friends, including the royal family, as you mentioned, will be here to mark this day.
And for you as well, I mean, you know, it was so hard for you losing your brother in that attack. And then, of course, last year you were involved in trying to save the life of the police officer in the Westminster attack, PC Keith Palmer. You know, at that moment, when you were so wrapped up in that, did you just think, well, it's now too close to home?
It's difficult to put into context exactly what I thought. I have something deep inside me which I think is shared right across the country, is that we here and across the world, the values and standards that we uphold, we will not be defeated by terrorism. We will not have our lives changed. We will continue to grieve those who are not here, but we will not allow the terrorists to win, and we will be defiant in that. And part of this memorial today is to remember those that we love, but also to remember who we are and what we're about, and we will not be defeated.
Well, Tobias Elwood, we appreciate your time this morning. It's a hugely significant moment, and not really a day for politics, but a day for reflection today, the opening of the National Memorial Arboretum. And, you know, our thoughts with all those families who are affected, and with you as well, you know, suffering twice in that way. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.